love to tell teenagers to be resilient. But what does this actually mean? Well, psychological resilience is referred to as the ability to cope with crisis and return to pre-crisis status quickly. It's the ability to get back up again. I can speak from experience when I say it is so hard to want to be resilient in the face of difficult situations. Like maybe after 6 hours of school and 4 hours of work, I don't want to do 3 hours of homework. I just love to scroll through TikTok mindlessly for just an hour or two. Let's be curious about why it's so hard to be resilient, especially for teenagers. Now, I have to acknowledge the struggles of being a teenager because honestly, I don't think we're given due credit. Imagine from ages 14 to 18, you do test after test, exam after exam, and have all this pressure put on you to succeed, or your whole entire life is doomed when you aren't even old enough to drive a car or buy a Monster energy drink. I mean, you do these tests and end up assessing all your self-worth on how well you do, or more generally, your ability to get back up again. Outside of school, there's all this external pressure to fit the beauty standard and have the perfect life. And with the way the world is economically, politically, socially, this is all damn near impossible. As a 17-year-old with ADHD and autism, trust I know impending doom like no other. I once did end up stranded in Harpenden. On the way to an induction day for what was at the time to be my soon-to-be sixth form, I decided I would take a bus to my soon-to-be sixth form. That was my first mistake, mistake number one. I didn't know anything about buses in St. Albans, and it was a very foggy day. I was supposed to go to my sixth form, which was in Sandridge, and ended up in Harpenden. To this day, I have a visceral reaction to missing my stop by even like a few seconds. When I got off the bus, I thought, oh, let me call my mum, and then realized I had way too much pride to admit I messed up this badly. So I decided I would walk. Yes, walk back to school, or at least somewhere I actually knew. I was insane, but I was determined. I started crying again when I saw cows and realized I had not the faintest idea where I was going. But disregarding my Looney Tunes adjacent scenario, things aren't always this low stakes and require more effort, which begs the question, why even try? Things are so hard all of the time, and it's so hard to want to keep going. I want to tell you the story of someone whose resilience got them where they are today. Imagine a situation you were in that felt impossible. A situation so dire and so difficult that you felt hopeless. Do you have that image in your head? Take that example, multiply it by 100, and you've got the case of Oksana Malaya. According to doctors and medical records, Malaya was a normal child at birth, but was then abandoned by her alcoholic father around age 3 and left to be raised basically by dogs. Authorities found her around age 7, unable to speak, lacking basic social skills, and behaving like a dog. Of course, she went through years of specialized therapy and education to address her social, educational, and behavioral issues. And upon adulthood, she can speak fluently and intelligibly and now works at a farm milking cows. So clearly the problem isn't task difficulty. So what is it? And what predetermines our resilience abilities? American epidemiologist and professor Karestan Conan says, the way I think about it is there's certain temperamental and behavioral characteristics that are genetically influenced, like risk-taking or whether you're an introvert or extrovert. Dutch psychiatrist and author Bessel van der Kolk says, how loved you felt as a child is a great predictor to how you deal with all kinds of difficult situations. I find it amazing how things like the way you're raised or even traits you inherit from your parents can affect your resilience abilities. Also, everyone's brains work a little differently. Like autistic people struggle with burnout from having to deal with the demands of everyday life and having to mask their true behaviors or face the scrutiny of their peers, and people with ADHD struggle with a similar thing. With all of this, how can you actually be resilient? Well, there's no straightforward answer because resilience can't be taught. However, it can be learned and developed over time. And from my personal experiences, I think there's 4 processes that you can do that helped me build my resilience and hopefully can help you. The first one is love, and more specifically, self-love. Resilience involves showing up for yourself time after time, even when you're in such difficult situations you don't know how to get out of whatever trouble you're in. But if you don't love yourself, it's kind of hard to want to show up for someone who you don't even like that much. Instead of every single time you miss a day at the gym or fail a test, beating yourself up, appreciate yourself as a whole and not just by those few actions. I mean, it's kind of hard to want to keep trying if you don't show yourself the compassion you show to whoever your favorite person in the world is. A second thing is mindset. A fixed mindset is narrow and binary. It says, oh, I'm stupid, I can't do this, or maths isn't my strong suit anyways, I don't need to try. A growth mindset is different. It says, I might not do this well the first time, but I can try and learn from my mistakes. Or maths may not be my strong suit, but I can work to get better at it over time through hard work. A growth mindset is curious and looks to learn from trying rather than being perfect. A growth mindset is so much more helpful and empowering than always beating yourself up. I've stopped saying things like, I'm autistic, I can't get my dream career, I can't go to my dream university. And instead I say, being autistic might make things hard for me, but with hard work and dedication, I can reach my goals. A third thing is metacognition. This refers to when learners use the knowledge of their task, of themselves, and of learning strategies to plan their learning, monitor their progress towards a learning goal, and evaluate the outcome. This sounds so complicated, but it's just thinking about how you're thinking. Be aware of when your thoughts are getting in the way rather than helping you. I mean, I use this at school when I'm really struggling to grasp a concept in a subject. I take a step back, I think about what I need to do and how I learn, and I use this to my advantage. So if that incorporates flashcards or singing, or watching videos explaining it. And lastly, you need to find meaning. It's so hard to want to keep trying if you feel life has no meaning. And if you're my age, you're probably acutely aware of the depressing state of the world right now and feel that there's no point in trying if everyone's just suffering. But you should overcome this pessimistic outlook and try and find life's meaning. This could start with something small, like an activity you like knitting, and just hold on to and grasp onto whatever that is and use that as your motivation to keep going. I did this when I was really struggling for motivation in school around GCSE times, and I thought about what I want to accomplish, what I like to do, and discovered I want to help people with their mental health. And now that I'm on that path, it's so much easier to want to keep going because no matter how hard things get, I have a goal, I have something I want to do, and I have found meaning. It's a trying time to be a young person, although if we're being honest, this is said through every year and every generation and every era. But you can find a lot of the things that you can use to help you overcome these challenges and hurdles are things available to you in your own head, or of course from the help from mental health professionals. So maybe it is a good time to be a young person. Thank you.